Aloha mai ka ko e nā ohana o ka lahui. On behalf of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, it's my honor and privilege to welcome all of you to this important halavai. I'm Stacy Kealohalani Ferreira, CEO of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, and I'm deeply humbled to be here with you. I'm joined today by two key members of our leadership team, Kehaulani Pu'u, our Chief Operating Officer, and Ramona Hink, our Chief Financial Officer. Together, we are excited to share with you a preliminary overview of OHA's fiscal year 2026 and 2027 biennium budget. Your presence here today reflects a foundational truth for us that consultation with our beneficiaries is not just required under Hawaii Revised Statutes Chapter 10-14.5, it is vital to the way that we do our work. Your feedback, manaʻo, and lived experiences help shape our path forward. We honor the time you're taking to be with us today and your willingness to help inform OHA's priorities for the years ahead. Our Board of Trustees has clearly affirmed and chartered our agency's direction through manaʻo, a strategic plan rooted in the pillars of ohana, moʻomehiu, and aina. These pillars are not merely concepts, they're living commitments that guide everything that we do to improve the well-being of our Native Hawaiian people and advance our ea, our self-determination and sovereignty. This work is not about small fixes, it's about systemic transformation, about reshaping the systems of education, health, housing, and economic resilience, all of the things that impact the daily lives of our people. Manaʻi Mauliola is more than just a document, it is a living, breathing call to action. This budget we present today is more than just numbers and programs. It's a blueprint for our future, a future that honors and sacrifices of our kupuna and fulfills the hopes of our keiki. It's about building a Hawaii where our lahui can truly thrive for generations to come. Before we begin today's presentation, I'd like to first invite Kehau Pu'u, our Chief Operating Officer, to offer a blessing over our time together and the important work ahead. Following the blessing, we are honored to have Molokaʻi and Lanai Trustee Luana Alapa, Chair of the Budget and Finance Committee, to provide opening remarks to set the foundation for our discussion today. Mahalo nui loa for being with us. E alulike kako. Let us move forward together.
Aloha kākou e mahalo for joining us this evening. E olu e pule kākou. E ko mākou makui loko kalaniki. Mahalo nei mākou ia oi no ke ia la maikaʻi. Nau no e ho'o maikaʻi. Ho'ona a wau, ho mai ka ike a me ka na a wau I hiki a mākou ke holopono no ko mākou la hui. E olu e ke akua. Ke ha'alele mākou e kia halawai. Nau no e kia ia malama mai a mākou. O kia ko'u leo pule makai no kau kiki hiwa hiwa o Iesu Kristo. Āmene.
Chair Alapa.
Aloha and good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening at our 2025 Preliminary Biennium Budget Community Presentation. I am Luana Alapa, and I'm the chair of the Budget and Finance Committee. First off, I'd like to thank my staff comprised of Secretary Summer Swords and Trustee Aide Pohai Ryan for your hard work and dedication to helping to ensure that our committee presents its best foot forward. In addition, I'd also like to take this time to acknowledge the incredible staff of CEO Stacy Ferreira, COO Kehau Pu'u, Grace Chen, our County Director, and CFO Ramona Hink. Along with them and their staff, they have done a wonderful, outstanding job. I cannot emphasize how much work that it takes to crunch these numbers, the forecasts that need to be projected, and so much more so that they could have this biennium budget ready for you this evening. We've met weekly for the past 2 months, and I must say this has really been an eye-opening experience for me as well in chairing this committee, because it's given me a better appreciation for the immense amount of work that OHA, our agency, and what it takes to make it run efficiently. And I'm so glad that I'm a part of a wonderful team here. At this time, today's meeting is about OHA's community input phase. Thus, you'll have greater accessibility, transparency, and details of information so that you may know and understand how our agency works in its operation and implementation of our strategic plan, manaʻo Mauliola. We welcome all questions, comments, and so forth, as this tonight's presentation serves as a preliminary, just a preliminary budget before any of this becomes final. So this is why we'll be doing this on several occasions and doing this in front of for our beneficiaries. Now, at this time, I'd like to turn over the mic to our Director of Community Engagement, Lisa Von Sikona.
Mahalo. Aloha mai kākou. We kindly ask that you join us in creating a shared and safe space where we can interact and generate meaningful conversation, and thus we agree to stay engaged in the following ways. Ike kupuna. Ike kupuna is our foundation, which guides our intentions and our interactions. Na'au. Na'au is a space from where we listen and receive so that we see beyond our filters, listen to understand, and do not interrupt. Aloha. Speak with aloha. Your words matter, as they can be healing or destructive. Please be mindful of tone and language. Ma ko. Be ready to speak. You have 2 minutes to share, so please stay on topic. And ma lama. Please remember to take care of yourself. Mahalo.
First slide, please. Administration presents this preliminary budget to ensure transparency, accountability, and strategic clarity. The proposed biennium budget outlines our planned investments and priorities for the next 2 fiscal years. It represents the financial framework necessary to implement OHA's mission and strategic plan. OHA remains deeply accountable to the Native Hawaiian community. This document is one way in which we demonstrate that accountability, by clearly communicating how we intend to steward trust resources. Every dollar is tied to strategic priorities that reflect the values and needs of our beneficiaries. This ensures that our financial planning is mission-driven and outcome-oriented. We welcome the board's insight, questions, and direction, and we welcome the same from our beneficiaries as we move from this preliminary phase to a finalized budget that meets both fiduciary and community expectations. This overview sets the stage for a deeper discussion, refinement, and eventual adoption. Together, we will shape a budget that empowers OHA to deliver with impact and integrity. Next slide, please. Manaʻo Mauliola is OHA's strategic plan, and we approach it by leveraging the inherent mana, the strength of our communities, driving positive change towards comprehensive Native Hawaiian well-being, Mauliola. Over a 15-year horizon, OHA is deploying 8 external strategies aligned with our foundational pillars and strategic directions to realize an abundant and thriving Lahui. The board-approved external endowment strategies ensures financial stability, enhancing our long-term capability to support beneficiary needs. Our combined external and internal strategies are critical to positioning OHA for long-term operational effectiveness, cultural alignment, and sustainable outcomes for Native Hawaiians. Next slide, please. Our spending priorities are based off of our strategies that balance internal investments with robust community-focused program funding and mission-critical system changes. Our biennium budget has 3 priorities: people, process, and programs, and they are intentionally interconnected, creating a synergy that ensures our internal strength directly enhances our external impact. Our first priority is OHA as an employer of choice. Recognizing our current stage of organizational rebuilding following workforce reductions and the post-COVID return to office mandate, we are strategically restoring internal capacities. We are prioritizing market-driven competitive compensation, which is essential to addressing long-standing, hard-to-fill vacancies. Our budget prioritizes competitive compensation and a supportive workplace culture to attract top talent, retain dedicated professionals, and reward excellence throughout our organization. Our employees are our greatest asset. We commit to invest significantly in workforce excellence and development, operational efficiency, and organizational agility to better serve our beneficiaries. Our second priority is strengthening operations and infrastructure. We remain committed to operational enhancements, refining processes, and deploying robust systems to streamline procurement, payments, travel management, talent recruitment and hiring, performance management and staff development, and comprehensive strategic plan performance reporting. Our third priority is executing transformational programs and services. Our budget supports strategies that directly align with and advance the vision of Manaʻo Mauliola across education, health, housing, and economic resilience, as well as critical cultural responsibilities such as ʻike kupuna, and environment protections and preservation, and strategic aina-back efforts to solidify a secure, perpetual land base for Kanaka. We remain deeply committed to advocating for and securing our full 20% pro rata share of the public land trust revenues, honoring the historical use of our Hawaiian Kingdom Crown and government lands. We are driving towards intentional systems change through disrupting the pathway to prison and the reduction of Native Hawaiian keiki and child welfare, creating coherence, permanence, and sustainability for our Native Hawaiian-focused charter schools, funding for post-high scholarships, and bolstering resources for aina and ahupua'a stewardship to correct systemic dispossession, inequities, and injustices. To foster economic empowerment, our strategies prioritize economic self-sufficiency through entrepreneurship, support OEV-owned business growth, and build sustainable economic resilience within our communities. Recognizing the critical need for affordable and sustainable housing, OHA is creating and implementing tangible home ownership and housing programs to ensure our ohana can access safe, affordable homes, supporting generational wealth, security, and enabling families to remain here in Hawaii, maintaining their ancestral ties to these islands. This includes dedicated funding for home repairs, focused on essential health and safety improvements. Specifically, we aim to ensure our kupuna can age safely and comfortably at home, and that ohana have resources available to address sorely needed repairs impacting their quality of life, free from health and safety hazards. We are dedicated to increasing civic engagement and leadership development, specifically by investing in programs to cultivate the next generation of OEV leaders who will actively lead, shape, and enact meaningful policy at local, state, and federal levels. Our budget also includes dedicated funding for targeted awareness campaigns, highlighting the power and importance of the Kanaka vote, driving active civic participation, and amplifying support for key Native Hawaiian legislative initiatives. To enhance our effectiveness, we are strategically evolving our spending model from exclusively grant funding to a mix of community grants and precision-driven contracting with community organizations. Contracts will allow for community entities to deliver highly defined strategic programs and services on behalf of OHA. Grants and scholarships will continue supporting flexible, community-led initiatives aligned with our strategic vision. This blended funding approach ensures measurable progress and impactful outcomes that fulfill the transformational goals set forth in Manaʻo Mauliola. Next slide, please.
This slide provides an overview of the budget process and a general overview of our sources and uses of funds. The development of OHA's biennial budget begins with the strategic plan. From this starting point, the implementation plan and tactics are created to guide all operational activities and projects that OHA intends to undertake in the next 2 fiscal years. The budget is the financial expressions of these plans and activities. Once spending priorities are identified, constraints on funding sources and spending decisions are considered. Constraints include both restrictions on the funds that OHA receives, as well as previous commitments the agency has made to further the mandate and mission. Our spending limit, or total funds we can spend, is in the first and second quadrant. 2 of our sources of funds are provided by the state of Hawaii, one by law and the other by legislature appropriations. In 2022, via Act 226, the public land trust revenues were increased from the $15.1 million set back in 2006 to an interim amount of $21.5 million annually. OHA will also receive State of Hawaii General Fund appropriations of $3 million in fiscal 26 and fiscal 27. Second, the third and largest source of funds is from OHA's Native Hawaiian Trust Fund investments comprised of financial and real estate assets. This is projected to be $24.9 million for fiscal '26 and $27.1 million for fiscal '27. Our uses of funds are in the third and the fourth quadrant. Third, the budget's first accounts for existing salaries and fringe benefits at a rate of 64.25%, set by the state of Hawaii. Then recurring expenses are next. Program expenditures, rent and CAM, utilities, the debt service, and followed by strategic programs and service initiatives and grants. Discretionary expenses such as travel and training are considered last. Fourth, OHA honors large-standing commitments, including provisos from the state general fund appropriations with matching funds from OHA, a DHHL debt servicing agreement, and pledging roughly $17 million annually to beneficiary grants and services. Details of the sources and uses of funds are in the following slides. In alignment with the board-approved strategies, the administration determines where resources are optimally deployed to achieve strategic outcomes. We're seeking community input on the development of the biennial budget. This step will help to inform the administration about observations and manaʻo prior to the submission of the final Biennium budget to the Board of Trustees for action in June 2025. Next slide.
OHA operations are divided into core and non-core budgets, ensuring financial clarity, accountability, and strategic resource alignment. Non-core operations are funded independently through commercial leasing revenues and federal grant funding. This separation ensures dedicated, reliable funding for repairs, maintenance, and our infrastructure facility support for our commercial and legacy land properties and specialized federal grant projects such as the Native Hawaiian Revolving Loan Fund and Land Assets REPI Grant. The core operating budget is strategically supported by three essential revenue streams. The first, the Native Hawaiian Trust Fund through our investment portfolio. $24.9 million is projected for fiscal year '26 and $27.4 million in revenues for fiscal year '27, with a total of $52.3 million over the biennium. This budget articulates a 4.4% spend rate for the Native Hawaiian Trust Fund, financial assets, and real estate together. To account for increased fixed costs, we have added funds from the Hawaii Direct Investment into the spending ceiling. Under our current policy, the spending limit for the Native Hawaiian Trust Fund is calculated at 5% over 20 rolling quarters, which includes financial and real estate assets, which would allow for a spending ceiling of $27.2 million in fiscal year '26. The preliminary budget presented contains a biennium spending amount of $52 million, in which the real estate assets are based on the net free cash flow generated over the prior two fiscal years, $2.3 million in fiscal year '26 and $2.3 million in fiscal year '27. We are utilizing a conservative approach for the budget ceiling to ensure that financial assets can implement its long-term strategy and account for its current state of the Hawaii real estate investment portfolio to meet its spending contribution, along with compliance with our loan covenants. The second source of funds is our Hawaiian Kingdom Crown and government lands, also known as the Public Land Trust revenues. This provides consistent funding of $21.5 million annually, or $43 million total over the biennium. The third source of funds is the State of Hawaii General Funds, which provides appropriations of $3 million annually, or $6 million total over the biennium. Collectively, these core funding sources will generate approximately $101 million over the biennium, $48.5 million in FY26 and $52.5 million in FY27, and this sets our spending ceiling for each fiscal year.
This slide is an overview of our total operating budget. OHA's total operating budget is divided into core and non-core elements. This document concentrates on the core operating budget, which totals $93.5 million over 2 years. The non-core budget items are excluded from this focus due to their independent funding and operations. The non-core budget derives revenues from separate sources, such as commercial properties for a total of $21.5 million, federal programs, $6.3 million, and legacy land programs of $464,000 for the biennial year. The donut chart shows a percent allocation of the total uses of funds of $122 million over the 2 fiscal years, $61 million in fiscal '26 and in fiscal '27. Next slide. This is the core operating budget. Over the biennial, OHA's core operating budget is allocated in these expense categories. The largest is personnel. The total is $39.8 million, or 43% of the total core operating budget. The second is beneficiary grants and services that total $33.4 million, or 36% of the total core operating budget. These two categories account for 79% of the core budget. The other 21% is spread over 5 other expense categories: overhead, contracts, equipment, program, and travel costs. The total core biennium budget is $93.5 million, $46 million in fiscal 2026, and $47.5 million in fiscal '27. Next slide.
So in the next slides, we'll talk about each of the expense categories that our CFO just went over. And so the first that we're going to highlight is our beneficiary grants and services. As Mona shared, this is our second largest expense category for the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, rightly so, as this is where OHA is investing primarily and directly in our beneficiaries and communities. Funds are dispersed to Native Hawaiian individuals, organizations, and other agencies to help us achieve the change that we are seeking. These funds are dispersed primarily through grants, both our community grant program, so open grants that are achieved through solicitation, board-directed grants, our loan program, and funding that we provide to other government agencies, and lastly, through procured contracts. So these are the precision-based contracts that our CEO spoke about earlier. And there's also some funding coming directly from the Office of Hawaiian Affairs for certain activities. Next slide, please. So as our CFO shared, beneficiary grants and services makes up 36% of OHA's total budget. So this is about almost $33.5 million total. So a little under 17 million in each fiscal year. And we've broken down that $33.4 million into our 3 buckets that I referred to earlier. So in our direct beneficiary aid bucket, we have about $4.8 million. In addition to 2.5, which we plan to disperse through our loan program. Second is our organization impact funding. And so this is, again, funding provided to organizations, either through grants or contracting. Some of this is also going to be done directly by the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. And so that is at $16,400,350. And then finally, our system strengthening investments at $12.2 million. Each area constitutes a percentage of that $33.4 million, or impact funding being the largest at 49%. Next slide, please. So this is an even deeper dive of our 3 buckets under beneficiary grants and services. So direct beneficiary aid, again, $4.8 million, which is 14% of the $33.5 million that OHA is investing in communities and beneficiaries. Included in this bucket is our emergency financial assistance program, which is normally dispersed through an organization. Our new access to home ownership, or AHO program, which was kicked off earlier this year, and we are reinvesting at $1.5 million in each fiscal year. Per our Board of Trustees, we are going to roll out a new scholarship program, higher ed scholarship program for graduate or professional students at $300,000. Teacher education program under our strategy and implementation team for $400,000. And community legal resources funding. And so this is funding that's provided to the University of Hawaii, Kahuliao Center for Excellence, their A'oaku A'omai program at $270K. And then also, again, included in this bucket is our Native Hawaiian Loan Program. Under org impact funding, we will reopen our community grants program this year. And so total combined fiscal years. So in housing proviso, $1 million, education, $1,230,000, and INA, $1 million, economic resilience, $740,000. And these are all funded through the state of Hawaii. So these are our general funds. We are also proposing $1.6 million for our Ho'akuakua Lahui event sponsorship, which was formerly our sponsorship and AHA Hui grant, but we've consolidated into this new program. Disaster aid, $150,000 per fiscal year for a total of $300K. And then beneficiary legal service funding at $2.6 million. And this is a combination of both general and OHA funds. Continuing on, we have several new programs and initiatives that have been developed by our strategy and implementation team. So in each of these outcomes, we have a little over $2 million being dedicated towards educational pathways. Almost 1.4 million in the health outcomes area, quality housing, little over 1.2, and economic stability, 970,000, and then some various manaʻo Mauliola aligned activities and programs at almost 1 million. We also have BOT policy series, so some activities dedicated to that, as you can see. And then finally, our system strengthening investments at a little over 12 million. We continue to invest and support our Hawaiian focused charter schools, 3 million per year. Native Hawaiian law training, which is also funding provided to UH at 200K, and DHHL 6 million. Next slide, please. So this slide is just a different cut of the $33.5 million. And this is by strategic outcomes. So what we've done is taken all of our funds and organized them by our different strategic outcomes so that we can share what's being invested in each of those. And so educational pathways, almost 10 million. And so one of the programs that OHA will be reviving is our AHA OPO program. And again, we have some scholarship programs that we are planning to roll out, new programs this year, or that we are proposing to roll out. Native Hawaiian Practitioner CTE Pathway Program at 200K. In our health outcomes area, we have another new initiative that we would like to kick off, and this is curriculum development and training for law enforcement and others who are working in our communities. And this is a sex trafficking initiative that we plan to utilize a recent report on missing and murdered Native Hawaiian women and girls to inform that work. Also, as our CEO spoke to earlier, programs that are intended to help change the systems in which we function. And so we have a restorative justice program, Pu'uhonua and Kekaulike, plans to design and roll out a Native Hawaiian specialty court. Also notable here is our phase 2 due diligence land transfers. So OHA is looking at taking an INA from the state. And so we are dedicating funds to help with our due diligence. In quality housing, we have a little over 11 million. One of our programs, Malama Honua, is intended to support Native Hawaiians who need that kokua, but may not necessarily qualify traditionally for support in home repairs to help maintain healthy and safe home environments. Also, a Hawaiian Community Developer Fellowship Program. And we continue again to provide funding to the Department of Hawaiian Homelands to help with their debt service payment. Economic stability. So a couple things to note here: scholarships for Native Hawaiian students in food systems, culinary arts, and ag tech, as well as a career pathways, another pathway program in tech and innovation. And last is our BOT policy series, and just highlighting a couple things here: plans to convene and provide training to island burial councils, and OHA will also be committing $1 million to support Hawaiian Kingdom Crown and government lands inventory. So many new programs and initiatives, and some returning. And this is how this is just a snapshot and just a few many ways that we would like to continue to invest in our beneficiaries and communities.
Personnel. Approximately 43% of OHA's core operating budget, or 39.8 million, is allocated to personnel costs, which includes a 64.25 fringe benefit rate. The core budget excludes personnel funded by non-core sources like commercial properties and the federal grants. The personnel budget reflects an anticipated vacancy rate of 7% in fiscal 26 and no vacancies in fiscal 27. Of the total personnel costs, approximately 61%, 24.2 million, is for employee salaries, and 39%, or 15.6 million, is to cover the fringe benefit load. Contracts. Approximately 4% of OHA's core operating budget, totaling 4 million, is allocated to contracts over the Biennium budget. OHA's office support totals 1.1 million in both years, and the real estate land planning due diligence is 788,000 for fiscal 26 and 27. Office support Office support and land planning due diligence accounts for 75% of the total $4 million, or $3 million of contracts in those categories. Corp counsel and trustee contracts account for the remaining 1 million. Next slide. Overhead. Overhead allocates approximately 7.1 million to overhead, or approximately 8% of the core biennium budget. Of these amounts, the first is office leases, which account for 4.1 million, or 58% of the total overhead budget. And this supports 6 offices across the state of Hawaii and a placeholder for the office in Washington, D.C. With utilities for these offices make up approximately 782,000, or 11% of the total overhead budget. So the total of 69% of the overhead budget is for offices across the state staffed with our beneficiary services agents to support our lahui. Approximately 1.4 million is insurance premiums for liability insurance, workers' comp, board and officer insurance, and other related coverages. The remaining 12% of the overhead budget is spread over 5 other overhead type expenses. Next slide, please. Our program budget category is allocated approximately 3.7 million, which is roughly 4% of the core biennium budget. The first is 1.4 million for Kauai Ola publications, the printing and distribution of it. And the second highest is 722,000 for conferences, meetings, and events. The top 2 program expenses account for 58%, or 2.1 million, of the 3.7 million total program expense category. The next 3 program expenses average 350,000 each for staff training advertising, and other expenses. The remaining 4 program expenses account for 14% in professional dues and subscriptions, community events, trustee protocol, and honorariums. Next slide, please. Equipment allocates 3.8 million, or approximately 4% of the core biennium budget, to equipment, including repairs and maintenance, subscription-based IT agreements, and software and equipment. Repairs and maintenance include various upkeep work for OHA's facilities and totals 2.2 million, or 57%. Subscription-based IT agreements for software licenses and maintenance renewals total 1.2 million, or 31% of the equipment budget. Software and equipment includes IT software, hardware, and other purchases required for ongoing operation for a total of $407,000, or 11%, and $41,000 of the equipment budget is reserved for needed office furniture and fixture, or 1% of the equipment total. The last expense category, travel, is not depicted in a slide. Total travel is 1.6 million, or 2% of the core operating budget. 868,000 in fiscal 26 and 802,000 in fiscal 27. Stacy?
So that concludes our preliminary budget presentation, and we now welcome our beneficiaries to provide us feedback on the information that has been shared. But before we go to any testifiers, we do have some guidelines. So the first thing is that we want to remind that testifiers will have 2 minutes each to speak. Please introduce yourself before providing your testimony. And please know that with the 2 minutes that you're provided, that there will be a timer that will be used to track the 2 minutes. At the 30-second remaining time, you will hear a bell that sounds like this. When you hear that bell, please conclude your remarks and complete your comments. This format will be for testimony only. We will not be using this time as a Q&A format. We want to ensure that all testifiers are able to provide their manaʻo. Do we have any testifiers?
We do not.
Mahalo. So we conclude this budget presentation with providing additional dates and times for beneficiary feedback. The next budget presentation will be Friday, May 2nd from 10 a.m. to noon at Nalamakukui in our Mauli'ola boardroom or via live stream. If you're not able to make the Friday, May 2nd presentation, we will have our last and final presentation on Saturday, May 3rd from 10 a.m. to noon, again at Nalamakukui, Mauli'ola boardroom, and via live stream. If you are unable to participate in the live stream or to come in person to Nalamakukui, we welcome you to submit testimony remotely for these meetings by visiting www.oha.org/budget. On behalf of the administration of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, we thank you for your time, your participation, and I turn it over to Chair if you'd like to say any closing remarks.
Mahalo once again, everyone, for those who are watching us, and we appreciate you, and we hope to hear from you in the near future, especially regarding this monumental task of putting a budget like this together. Naturally, there will be changes. Granted, this is a preliminary budget, but it at least gives you an idea of what we face each year as we prepare for securing our budgets so that we may operate and be able to help our beneficiaries to live a life that you are all deserving of. Thank you so much, everyone. We hope to see you at next Friday. Or if you know of anyone who would like to know more about the budget briefings, please tune in on Friday at 10 a.m. and then again the next morning, Saturday, 10 a.m. Aloha and have a good evening.
Mahalo.